I think one of the best things about Anchor is for somebody that was a little nervous going into their podcast, first recording their podcast experience. It gave me all the tools necessary to record my own podcast. It gave me sound bits. It gave me recording tips. It gave me everything. So I would recommend Anchor to anybody who's a first-time podcaster or a veteran looking to expand their brand. In order to get Anchor, you can either download the Anchor app from the store, from your phone's store or computer store, or also go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome to the Syracuse Cross Podcast. I'm your host, Dan. You can get a hold of me via Instagram at Cuse1987. Also get a hold of me on the show account at Twitter at SULaxPod. Also on my personal Twitter at Cuse1987. You can also get a hold of me via Gmail at SULaxPod@gmail.com. This podcast is available on Spotify, Anchor, Apple, any other platform that you see, any other platform that you mostly listen to. If it's not available, please let me know. I will do my best to get it on that platform. I know there's like 9 or 10 distributors that I go through right now, so if you don't see that on your list or you don't see the podcast, please let me know and I will reach out to that brand and see if I can publish my podcast on there. Uh, if you enjoy this podcast, feel free, to hit the subscribe and or follow button wherever it is available. Um, Also, share this with your friends. If you're a lacrosse fan and you want to listen to something during the quote in season, share this with your friends. If you're somebody who's a lax head or just getting into lax and you want to talk to somebody about it and you want to have a good discussion, please let them know or please share this podcast with them. I'd really appreciate it. Um, as always, please reach out to me with any feedback you have on the show, any things that you like, some things that you don't like, and also what you think I can improve on. I always love the feedback. I know I've gotten a couple feedback from a couple people, a couple things on feedback from a couple people, and I always appreciate that. Last week we discussed the Pals. Today we're going to get into the Gaits. As I said before, we're kind of still in the in season, so I want to try and put out a couple episodes during the in season. Then we're going to spread the episodes out a little more during the off season. Um, we're going to discuss the Gaits today. Now, for a lot of people, or for them who grew up in Canada, I could not find a lot of their high school information, their high school stats. If somebody can find those and reach out to me, I'd really appreciate it. But I do have their Syracuse stats in front of me, and also their pro stats. So we're going to talk about Syracuse, what they did at Syracuse, what they did in the pro, and what they're up to now. When you say Gaits, a lot of people think of Gary, but as we're going to talk about later, Paul is kind of the forgotten one, and Paul actually had a almost better freshman year, in my opinion. But Gary had more points, but Paul had the greater impact. Paul was a year later, but let's just think about that. So don't forget Paul. Anyways, let's get into Gary first. Let's get into Gary, like I said. Then we're gonna talk Paul, and then we're gonna talk about what's coming up. During Gary Gates' freshman career at Syracuse, Gate averaged 1.71 points per game. He finished the season with 29 points. Now, that's a decent number for a freshman, I'd say. We've seen guys in the present put up more points, but I would consider that a decent number back then when he first came in. He led Syracuse to a Final Four appearance, and he came back in his sophomore year with a vengeance. From the numbers that I see, it looks like he improved a lot. He tallied a historic 70 goals during his sophomore year, which is fourth all time for single season goal numbers in NCAA history. He also tallied 17 assists, leading Syracuse to a national championship win. As teams began to focus on him his junior year, his points slipped down to 65 points. However, he still helped lead the Orange to another national championship weekend appearance while winning his second ring in a row. In his senior year, his points went up a little bit as he became more the quarterback. His goals dipped down, but his assists went up. He finished the year with 46 goals and 26 assists. He won another championship, and he solidified his name as one of the best to wear 22 and set a tone for years to come. During his career at Syracuse, he was named an All-American by the USILA 4 times, 3 times as first team selection, and once as an honorable mention. Gary graduated Syracuse as the all-time goal leader with 192 goals. He led the Orange to 3 national championships win and won the NCAA Player of the Year in 1988 and 1990. He was also named the most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament in 1990. Following his stellar career at Syracuse, Gary went on to have an even better pro career. He played for 20 teams, 20 years in the NLL, playing for 7 teams during that span. Those teams were Detroit, Philadelphia, Baltimore Thunder, Pittsburgh Crossfire, Washington Power, Colorado Mammoths, and the Rochester Nighthawks. During During his NLL career, he tallied 702 goals, 587 assists, and 126 penalty minutes. Gary was named the NLL MVP 6 times. Now, for those who don't know, the NLL is National Lacrosse League. That is an indoor lacrosse league only. As we're going to get into, the MLL is Major League Lacrosse, which is outdoors. While playing in the NLL, Gary also played 5 years in the MLL, initially retiring in 2005. One quick note about the NLL MVP, we're going to dip back into that for a second. He won the NLL MVP 6 times. He was one of 2 players to win the award multiple times, John Tavares being the other one, and he's won 3 of those. So take that into factor for what Gary did after Syracuse. While playing, during the 2005 season, Gary shared the MVP award with Mark Million, totaling 63 points. That was during the MLL. Excuse me. Following his stellar career, Gary joined the coaching ranks, starting off with the Colorado Mammoths, the team that he won his first. He was second coach to win a championship during his rookie year. Ironically, the coach to do it, Tony Resch, had Gary on his team in Philadelphia. So his second team, he won a championship with a rookie coach. In 2007, Gary stepped down as the head coach of the Mammoth. He then returned to Syracuse to become the second coach in the women's program's history. Prior to being named head coach, he served as Maryland's assistant head coach for 9 years. He is still coaching Syracuse to this day and is helping turn Syracuse into a powerhouse for women's lacrosse. Both Gary and his brother Paul were inducted into the British Columbia Sports Hall of Fame on September 13, 2001. Now, one thing to note about Gary and Paul, they were the innovators of a once famous move called the air gate. They also use a now popular move called the back to back. Now, the thing that went into the air gate, they would score from behind the crease, so they would jump from behind the goal crease and score a goal in midair by dunking the ball over the top of the crossbar and land on the opposite side of the crease. This move has been banned by the NCAA, but I think, if I remember right, that you can now land in the crease. So, not saying that that'll come back. People have come up with more acrobatic ways to score goals, but that was one of the better goals in the time because you could obviously jump, you could score, and then you could land in the crease. So that's a huge thing to have for people. Huge thing that people didn't realize when they were watching the game back then is how much went into that type of thing. But we talk about Gary a lot. Let's talk about the forgotten brother, Paul. Everyone talks about how great Gary's career was, What about Paul's? Paul is widely known as one of the best NCAA players of all time. He finished his freshman year with 14 points. During his spike in sophomore year, he tallied 66 points. His junior and senior year went about the same, tallying 67 points and 65 points respectively. His final numbers for Syracuse equate to 57 games played, 127 goals, 85 assists, totaling 212 points. Paul helped lead Syracuse to 3 national championships while also being named to 3 All-American teams in 1988, 1989, and 1990. Paul was also named the most outstanding player in the NCAA championship in 1989. The 1990 championship is most widely known as the Lacrosse Trophy to many lacrosse fans. Originally, Syracuse had won the title. Following that season, the NCAA determined Roy Simmons Jr., the coach at the time, his wife, Nancy Simmons, had improperly co-signed for a car loan for Paul Gait. Paul was ruled ineligible for postseason play, and Syracuse was forced to vacate their tournament records and titles. To this day, this trophy has not been found. I'm going to discuss this more in our next episode when we talk history, because that was one of the biggest questions that I got was talk about the lost trophy, talk about the national championships, talk about certain streaks. But we're going to get into that in the next episode where we discuss the history of the program. Let's get back to the Gaits, though. Following Paul's career at Syracuse, he went on to have a 13-year career in the MLL. During his NLL career, Paul played for 6 teams. He totaled 128 games played, 410 goals, 302 assists, totaling 712 points. He also totaled penalty minutes. During his career, he won Player of the Week 7 times, Overall Player of the Week 2 times, and Offensive Player of the Week 3 times. He also won Player of the Month 5 times. While he was playing in the NLL, he also joined the MLL for 2 years. Didn't really have a long MLL career. He tallied 9 games, 16 goals, and 7 assists. Prior to that, though, in 2002, Paul led the NLL in goals, points, and was named the league MVP. He was forced to retire early due to osteoarthritis in his back, knees, and elbows. In 2005, both Gait brothers were inducted into the United States Lacrosse Hall of Fame. During his career in the pros, Paul started to think about life after lacrosse. He and his brother are innovators of Gait Brothers Lacrosse. That was originally started in 1994. They were based out of Syracuse. In 1996, Paul sold the company and became the independent lacrosse equipment designer for J.A. DeBeer, which is now known as DeBeer Lacrosse. Ultimately, he became the DeBeer president from 2003 to 2011. In his tenure, DeBeer was credited for developing the modern women's lacrosse head and revolutionizing the women's pocket. In 2003, the Gaits introduced their brand to the men's game. In 2011, Paul founded Team 22 Lacrosse, which has become the exclusive brand for Under Armour. Under Armour continues to be one of the more fastest growing lacrosse brands today. Paul is also the founder of Lax Pocket LLC, and they're one of the country's leading women's pockets in lacrosse today. They produce all kinds of pockets. Both Lax Pocket and Team 22 Lacrosse are still in existence today and are located in the Albany area. Let's get back to Gary for a minute because I want to discuss the 22. He was one of the first to wear it. We're going to kind of go into this more a little bit, but I want to talk about 22 for a little bit. He was one of the first to wear it. He kind of set the tone, I would say, for people wearing the 22, given the fact that he had the historic 72 goals during it. He helped start the torch, and I would say other guys like Charlie Lockwood, The Powells, obviously, and others helped carry it. But up for a while, I would say the 22 was one of the most regarded numbers for Syracuse lacrosse, and then the debate became like football in the 44. It became the should we retire this? It became the should we not give this out to freshmen, because for a lot of years 22 was handed out to freshmen, and in my opinion, watching the game and seeing what I saw, I felt like those players came in with too much pressure. You had guys like Jordan Evans, who was the number one recruit in America, I believe, and he came in wearing the 22, and he had I don't want to say a subpar career, but he had a less than stellar career, because I feel like he wore the 22 and he tried to live up to that, versus a guy who comes in, proves he can wear it for a couple of years, then puts the 22 on. I mean, look at a guy like Chase Scanlon, who's wearing it now. Granted, he didn't do it at Syracuse, but he was able to do it his first year at Loyola. He put up a crazy amount of points, which we're going to talk about this more in the next episode, because I want to get into the number 22 and the number 11, which was originally worn by Joel White, who was given out to whose number unofficially, just like the 22, but 11 is given out to the best defender. Just something to note there. We're going to talk about that in the next episode. We're also going to talk about the history of Syracuse lacrosse. We're going to discuss some coaches. Um, we're also going to talk what their coach records were, some of the impressive records held by the Syracuse team, national championships, Final Fours. We're going to get into everything. So once again, thank you for joining today. Once again, if you feel inclined, feel free to hit the subscribe and follow button. Also reach out to me via Instagram at Cuse1987, the show account on Twitter at SULaxPod, and or Gmail at SULaxPod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.